welcome to Ross the Audio again. Today's topic is kind of like a hot one. It's always bringing out the worst and the best in people in every Facebook group there is. Cables. Ho ho. What a hot topic that is. Well, I'm kind of like on the fence. Or can I say I'm on the both side of the fence. At one point, you can say that I don't really have an opinion of supporting buying more expensive cable. I don't think that all this bullshit that is going around is making cables better just because they're frozen or done in a special way or heat treated or whatever doesn't warrant a higher price or a better quality of the speaker or the sound or the speaker cable. So to me, all these bogus things that are supposed to make the speaker cable sound better and then cost thousands of dollars, I don't buy that. So I'm not defending that part of it. However, when it comes to speaker cables, and I'm not going to talk about interconnect cables today or any other type of cables, strictly speaker cables. When it comes to speaker cables, however, I have an opinion about it. And I can tell you right off the bat that I will show you what I mean, okay? Here we have a standard, no fancy stuff. This is just a regular copper cable, okay? It is 99.9% copper cable. That is perfect to use as speaker cables. Let me show you another thing. If I can find it. I had it here. Oh, here it is. This is a speaker cable. And as you can see, there's quite a difference. So if you ask me, does speaker cable really matter what you use? Yes, it does. You should have, in my mind, I would not go any less than 14 gauge or 12. I think you are in a good area if you choose that. Any smaller cable than that is used for very short lengths. The longer the cable is, the thicker it has to be. The more power you send from an amplifier to your speakers, the thicker the cable should be. No doubt there. No discussion. I'm not even going to take a discussion on it. You can't come and tell me that you run 1,000 watts through a cable that is almost the thickness of my hair and do that over 10 feet length. No. You need something like this or even bigger. If you could, well, let's hold on to this one. If you could use this cable for, let's say, I want to say that the maximum you can use this cable for is probably 3 or 4 feet and maybe 20, 25, 30 watts. That's what this cable can do. The other problem with this cable is it is an aluminum cable plated with copper. Aluminum is not good when we talk about heat and energy. It is, in fact, can be dangerous. That's why aluminum cables in many countries has been banned for use in your home to run the electric in your home, because aluminum can't take the heat and take the power or the energy or whatever you want to call it. So Aluminum plated cable like this is a no-no. A cable that is frozen or heated or treated with some kind of chemical or twisted in a special way that costs thousands of dollars, no. Go with 99.9% pure copper. Do you want to use solid copper core? No. You want to use braided or stranded or whatever someone calls it, where you have many multiple leads becoming one. That's what you want. You don't want one solid core. It has a lot to say. You can try it. You will see it and hear it. Your amplifier will work easier with a several or multiple stranded cable or braided cable, whatever you want to call it. Now to the other part. Let's say you go for 99.99%, well, 99.99% pure copper cable, and you have chosen a thickness that can handle quite a bit of wattage, volt, whatever the amplifier, whatever term you want to use, energy, heat, whatever. And you have dimensioned your cable to your amplifier, your speakers, and the cable length or the wire length that you have to use. I never use anything smaller than this. I have this black one. These are my testing cable that I just have hooked up just to do some quick testing when I get things in, just because it's easy. I never play loud with them or anything. These are the cables that I use, or bigger. I also use Pro Audio cables because they sound good. I mean, they can take the energy, they can take the heat. I'm not saying that there's a difference in sound from these, but they can take the heat. Now, let's take it a stretch. Back in the day, you had these cable here, and you had other cables, copper cables, that were used for different purposes than audio. In the medical industry and in the laboratory industry and in certain other businesses, they found out that this copper was not good enough. They needed a higher standard. And don't know why they did it, but they found out that it was needed. So they came up with the OFC, oxygen-free copper. Because in this copper cable here, that is 99.99% pure copper, you have air bubbles. There are air pockets all over inside this cable. Every cable has that. Even the aluminum coated has that. So they figured out that to get a better lead, they needed oxygen-free cable. It's not like a lot of people think. Am I a fan of OFC or pure copper? I'm a fan of both. I can't really say that on an average speaker or most speakers that I can hear a difference. But by eliminating the air pockets in the copper, you get a more straightforward flow. Consider it as a river, okay, with water. A river flowing down. If you have no rocks or stones or anything like that, boulders in the river, the water flows straight down. No hindrance, nothing. Now drop a few boulders in there that are huge, that sinks to the bottom and sticks out of the river, and you see the river starts to like run around it. It creates foam. It starts to create turbulence and stuff like that. I'm not saying that you can that you create turbulence in a cable, but when you have air pockets in a cable that transports energy, it will create resistance because the energy you're sending through the cable, if you have multiple air pockets, the energy has to find a way around it, and the same energy that flows straight through all of a sudden has to operate in a smaller area. And then if you have a lot of air pockets, let's say you have a copper cable that is manufactured by a bad company or a factory that really doesn't care about quality control, and they have a lot of air in their copper, then this thickness in some areas, not everywhere, not through the whole, let's say 10 feet, not the whole 10 feet is going to be it, but there's certain areas in this cable, and the more of those areas that you have, the more resistance you are creating in the cable, and that can have an effect. So in some areas, that thick cable here is no thicker than this one because of the air bubbles. Because the air bubbles are not transmitting the heat, the energy, the wattage, the voltage, whatever you want to call it, the signal, you know. So that's why a lot of audio people started thinking like, maybe there is something to this OFC, oxygen-free copper. I use both, and I have no problem using 99.99% free pure copper. That is not OFC. I have no problem using that, and I use it a lot. But I also use OFC cables a lot. What I do stay away from is solid core copper cables, such as, the thick, hard ones. First of all, they are difficult to deal with. They don't fit well in terminals and all that stuff. And I don't like them. And I absolutely stay away from the aluminum copper coated cables. They have a short for it, ACP, something like that, or APC or something like that, or CPA, copper plated aluminum, I think it is CPA. Stay away from the aluminum cables that are copper plated. They are pure shit, and they are a hazard to your house and to your system. I don't care how big of a thickness you have on it. So if you want speaker cables, 99.99% pure copper is the minimum you want to go with. But the most important thing is to match your cable to your speakers, to your amplifiers, so you have the right thickness according to the power and the impedance and the length of the cable that you're using. That is the most important thing you can do with a cable, in a speaker cable or a speaker wire. We say cable in Europe. It's a wire over here. So if you ask me what is the most important thing with a cable, the most important thing for using a speaker cable or a speaker wire is to match it correctly to your amp or receiver and your speakers and the length of the wire cable that you're using. And it's always better to go a little bit bigger on the thickness than smaller. Be on the safe side. If someone says, oh, for that stretch, for that amplifier and that speaker, you need 16 gauge, go for 14 or 12. There's not a big price difference, and that way you're safe and secure. If they say, do you want 99.99 copper or do you want OFC copper? See if the price difference is okay with you. Right now, in today's market, I have seen OFC cost for a 40-foot roll cost like $12 more than the other one. So the difference in price is today next to nothing compared to back in the day. If you're doing car audio, and I did a lot of car audio back in my day. When you do car audio, OFC all the day. For hi-fi use, either OFC or the 99.99. So that's my take on it. Do I believe in the snake oil products? No. No. Do I agree with people who say you can use lampshade cable or cable that you use in your wall in the home? Buy at Home Depot. Buy a 500-foot roll for next to nothing? No. Because, first of all, I have seen a lot of those cables at Home Depot, and I wouldn't use them. There's certain things that I wouldn't use. First of all, I don't like the looks of them, and they're gonna fit in, and they're gonna look, people are gonna see them unless you do cable runs that are hidden. Most of the wires that you run in your house is solid core. I don't like solid core. Lamp cables, if you want to use it, use it. I don't want to use it. I have read some things from the manufacturers, in fact. They state on the box 99% pure copper. But I have seen documentaries and programs in the past about this where they measured and the lampshade or the lamp cables came back at 82% copper. And they had mixed in some other components in there, and God knows what it is. So if you want to have the best lead from your amplifier to your speakers, regardless of length and stretch of the wire cable, go for good thickness, that is good for taking a lot of heat, energy, wattage, whatever. That also is solid and can take some beating, These are so fragile. You sneeze on them and they break. So that's about it. It's up to you. Either 99.99% pure copper, or you can go OFC, oxygen-free copper. I'm okay with both. I use both. The ones who bash and trash talk OFC are probably people you shouldn't be listening to, because at the price point, they might have some valid reasons, like you won't hear a difference. You might not hear a difference, but what if you ease the flow of the energy from your amplifier to your speaker? Wouldn't that help? Wouldn't that make it a little bit better? Maybe you don't hear it, but the interaction between the speaker and the amplifier becomes better. So if you want to listen to the people who are bash trashing or trash talking the OFCs, ask them why, and tell them that, you know what, if you buy a roll of 40 or 50 feet, there's only like $10 to $12, $13 difference. We're talking about pennies per feet in difference. So why not? Why not use OFC? It's not that big of a difference in price. So that's about it. That was cables.